Okay, we're just about to go live and I wanted to test the sound. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep. Yay! Okay, good. Fraser's here. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another live stream. I am actually insanely excited for this one. I have so much to show you and talk about. But before we get into that, let's make sure you can hear me well. Do I sound okay? Is the video good? Are we all good on that front? And I'll wait to see your responses. There's always a delay on this, so I'll have to wait just a second. Yay! Okay, perfect. Okay, well, hello everybody. Um, like I said, I'm just so excited. I've been working like nonstop on pulling all of this stuff together. Like I said, I think since I went on that little trip to Salem and came back, like I have been going, just trying to pull everything together. I've got like a bunch of stuff to get done for everybody. Um, and it seems to be going really, really well. This is the apron that will be featured in the video coming out this week. So everything has been shot. I just have to edit the video all together, and I'll be doing that mostly myself on this one. And it will be going out, I think, on I don't want to say a day. It'll be coming out this week, so let me give myself a little bit of time. So this is going to be the public video, and then your private Patreon video is going to be the making of this beautiful coffin box. And I'm going to show you the whole process on both of these from the beginning all the way through the end. And then I think everybody knows in the $7 and up tier, I will be providing patterns for both the apron and also the coffin. So you guys are going to get tons of information on that stuff and how to figure that all out. Oh my gosh, Sergeant! This is Sergeant Fuzzy Balls, and he does not like being on camera. So the fact that he just showed up, hello, you have to be very gentle with him because he's just he's a very wonky little guy. I think I've mentioned that, like, cats are like people, and sometimes you end up with like a little kitty with like a mental disability. And I think he falls into this category. He's just, he's like an alley cat. I found him in an alley about 10 years ago, and something terrible had happened to him. The skin had been pulled away from his bottom jaw, and he was not doing well. And he was like the size of a toothbrush. He was so small. So I took him to a vet, and they stitched him back up, and I took him home thinking like, oh, he'll turn into like this really affectionate little kitty. And it just turns out like he's got all sorts of like weirdnesses. And he's terrified of everything. So he doesn't know he's on camera, and if he knew how many people were looking at him, he would just want to crawl into his shell. So his name is Sergeant Fuzzy Balls, and I named him that because when he was a little tiny guy, he had like the puffiest balls. Like I don't know. But anyway, he's my little baby, and I can't believe he's on camera. Like I said, he just never wants to be on camera. So let's see. I think, how far are we into this? We're only a couple minutes in. I want to wait a minute on announcing who this is going to. And let me read a few of the comments and just see if there's anything I should jump at and respond to. Let's see. Oh, you went away. I didn't anticipate that lasting long. He usually just likes to snuggle with me at night, just like the two of us. And if anyone else comes around, he's just like, ah. Okay. Is there any way to turn up your mic? Yes, I can do that. Hold on. Can you turn up the volume a little bit, please? Only picking up the left side. So let's see. All right. Is that better? Sound is a bit low. We'll fix this. Better? Volume is good. Okay. Maybe I think I was turning too far away from the mic, so maybe that was causing. Okay. Yes, that is perfect. Okay, good. Well, then hopefully the volume is better. Better. I hope you guys were able to hear that whole little beginning segment. I was just kind of rambling. Anyhow, being closer to the mic helps. Okay, let me try to scooch this. See if I don't break something. Maybe not. I'll just get over here and talk like that. Okay, good. Well, let me think. We have so many things to cover on this episode. And I think before we get to the apron, maybe let's talk about the makeup giveaway. Does that sound fun to you guys? Because I have an idea. Okay, let's see. So the makeup contest was, I asked everybody to basically come up with the title. Like if they were to come out with their own line of makeup, what would be the name of their shade? And it was just I just want to mix it up and keep it as random and fun and silly as I can. But the problem with that one was everyone had insanely good names. I wasn't expecting oh my gosh, that's a good name and that's a good name. And so picking was nearly impossible. So I kept going through them, and every time I saw one that really stood out, I took a picture on my phone, and then I had a phone call with my mom, and I was reading all of these off to her, and she's like, shoot, I don't know what to tell you. These are really good names. So it was a problem. And so I feel horrible even picking anyone, because just so you know, just if you didn't get picked, yours was still amazing, just so you know. So what my mom suggested and what I'm going to do is, oh, I'm sorry. Come here. He likes to talk. Now let's see if he'll do this. Hach. Hach. I don't know why he does that. He's done that since he was a kitten. Okay. So this is my suggestion, or this was my mom's suggestion. She said, what if you did a first prize, second prize, third prize? And the first prize would be your favorite gets the big, huge thing that I'm going to be doing, which I will be documenting and sort of running through, probably making a little video to show you guys what I'm using, what are my favorites. So somebody is going to get the big one, and then the two runners up will get really great little collections of my favorites. So I think that's just the way to do it. It's still, I can't make everyone happy, but I really wish I could. It would feel so happy for me to do that. But I think, so let's run through who won, and I'll go through. I'm going to name the two runners up, and these two individuals will be getting, like I said, a fun little pack of things. It won't be inexpensive. It will be a fairly pricey little put together. But Eddie V in Moncton, Canada, hers was funeral parlor. So instead of funeral parlor, funeral pallor. And I was like, if I saw that brand on a shelf, I would buy it if it was gray, if it was totally the wrong color. So, oh my gosh, that's a really good one. So Eddie V in Moncton, Canada, you will be getting a fun little pack for me. And then the next one is Carissa Lewis, and she is in Friendswood, Texas, and hers was Toasted Winchester. And she said, she made a comment that her skin is like very similar to the color of the gingerbread that I did for the Winchester Mansion. And I don't know why, but like the idea of like a makeup shade named Toasted Winchester like was really just resonated with me. I liked it. Um, so Carissa Lewis in Friendswood, Texas, you will be getting a really fun, beautiful little pack from me. And then the big winner, and this is going to be so specific and weird. I told my mom, I was like, this is my favorite. I love it because I can visualize this whole thing. My mom was like, really? Okay. Well, I mean, no, I like it. It's okay. So, so Christina O'Hare in Sacramento, California, you came up with not just the name of the shade, but you came up with like a brand name and like a concept for the makeup line. And I just thought it was so magical. She came up with, I love the show Murder She Wrote from the 80s with Angela Lansbury. And so her name on the show was Jessica Fletcher. And she said, what about coming up with like this New England brand of makeup called Fletcher? And she said her shade would be called Cabot Cove. And I don't know why, I just loved that. It was so, I could just picture this whole beautiful line with like these fun little diorama type packages. And like, I just feel like there's not enough like beautiful old lady stuff produced anymore. Everything is very like the packaging is generally very like modern. Um, so I just love old lady looking stuff. And so for some reason that really resonated with me. So Christina O'Hara in Sacramento, California. So those are my 3 winners. If you didn't win, I probably loved your name. So don't be sad and just keep entering an idea and eventually you'll probably win. So that was the makeup giveaway. I did this because I just thought it would be like a fun thing to sort of show you guys, like, because I use makeup. I've done makeup professionally as like my career before. And so I did that for a long time. I've tried so many different products and I know there's a lot of different really beautiful things out there. And so I've kind of like really honed my collection and what I use on a regular basis to things that are really, really functional and good and work well for like evening and day. So I will be sending out those gifts, and then I'm also going to, like I said, be creating sort of maybe like a little video or just like some sort of document where you guys can sort of see what I like to use. I am very hesitant to do like a makeup tutorial video just because like I've stated before, I don't really feel like I'm breaking the mold with anything that I'm doing with my face. I'm just like painting on a human woman's face. So, yeah. So, anyway, I think that's enough of that. Let me read a couple comments. If you guys have any questions at this point, I'm happy to answer anything for a second before we get into this and that. And do you guys mind if I have a drink? I have a funny story to tell you, and I'm drinking these bubbly like seltzer drinks lately. They're really tasty. They're not sponsoring me or anything. I just like them. They're like cheap and they're at the grocery store. Okay. Let's see. You would love a get ready with me. Thank you so much. I've said this once before. I feel like I look absolutely terrible with no makeup and like my hair is like kind of got like a curl to it a little bit, but not like that pretty kind, but more like the messy kind. So I have to do all these things to look like a normal person. Let's see. How was your Salem trip? It was the most insanely fun thing I've ever done, I think. My mom and I went And I texted her right after because normally like I have like a funny memory where I will do something like a big thing, like a trip or something like that. And obviously great things happen on that trip and terrible things sometimes happen with like places you're staying at or like the flight gets wonky or who knows. So good and bad things happen. But 6 months after a trip, we want poof. Okay. I would like to be would you please bring me a poof, please? His presence is requested. Hold on, poof will be with us in a very few moments. But okay, I'll get back into the Salem thing in just a moment. But we do have a kitty delivery on the way. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Poof. Oh, it's a little poof. Oh, it's poof. You can go back now. Oh. Oh, it's a poof. Okay, so something Poof loves is having his little body brushed. And it is like the cutest thing ever. And he's just like this silly little hamster. And you can do anything you want with him. Look at, he stretched his little, oh no! I've got Gertie on the bed. Hold on. Let's see. Gertie. Okay. Gertie, you're killing the effect we have going on here. Okay, she doesn't care. She's okay. To be honest, Poof has stolen Gertie's thunder, and she is incensed about it. Gertie, come here. Come here. I'll brush your hair. Do you want your... Oh, she's... Oh, my God. Okay. This... This is why the pets are usually put away when I do the live stream. She's like, hello. Oh, my God. She's such a turkey. And she loves attention, and she does not like having attention taken away from her. Poof, are you back? Poof. Okay. What was I talking about? The witches. Can we see your witch's hat? It's far away downstairs, but I'm going to get into that. I'm actually going to. So, can I talk about the witch's hat for a second? Because that's a story. I'm always going to like Lowe's or Home Depot, and I went into Lowe's, and this super tall, super handsome man walked up to me and was like, what did he say? He asked me if I was Christine McConnell, and I said I was. And he was super happy, and he said that he and his wife loved the Netflix show, and he asked if he could get a picture, and we had this like fun little chat. And then I asked him, he showed me on his phone some of the art he does, and I was like, oh my gosh, his art was like amazing. And so I said, do you have an Instagram? I'd love to follow you. So I started following him on Instagram. And then after a little, so I started following him, and then he started posting like some of his work, and he started making these hats, and they were so insanely beautiful. If you go onto my Instagram account and you go to the post where I'm wearing the hat, I've tagged him. And if you go look at his stuff, it's just like insanely good. I just can't believe like I just randomly stumbled upon somebody who's that incredible with their craft. And it's like, so I hired him to make my mom and myself some hats. So he did that, and he was so wonderful. I loved his wife. His house was incredible. So I'm actually thinking of bringing him into the show a little bit and seeing if maybe I can't like sort of make him like a little bit of a character in the show, because he's got like a character sort of feel about him. So he's just a lovely person. His wife is lovely. They like cats and dogs, and they've got tons of them. So that's really all you need to sell me on people is like, tell me that they like cats and dogs. I'm like, we're going to be just fine. Gertie. Okay, so let me read. Let's see. Skull lace in your window. I love that idea. Ooh, that would be amazing. Okay, count me in for that. Will you be doing any small Christmas crafts you can do at home? So let me ask a question of you guys, and you can tell me what you would prefer, because the month of Christmas is going to be a little hectic because I'm making a ton of things that are going out to like the top tiers. That's like I can't give anything away, but I'm going to be revealing a lot of that to you guys and showing you cool stuff. But would you prefer me doing a small, like your private video being like a small baking project this month? Or would you even like more me doing a live stream of like an entire cookie process, like a small, like a gingerbread man? I saw somebody suggest on here making a gingerbread man, and I could provide you guys with an ingredient list and like the whole thing beforehand, and like maybe you could even bake off your pieces before, and then basically we just do a live stream where we just sit around and ice cookies one day, probably on a weekend because that would be when most people are available. um just let me know in the comments if that sounds like something fun, and maybe this month we could substitute that for like the official like Patreon video. Does that live stream? I'm seeing a lot of live stream. I think it sounds fun too. It just seemed, and this was also not my idea. This was something I saw somebody comment on Patreon. Okay, so all right. So then you guys seem to be on board with that. Okay. So what we'll do is I will provide you with my favorite cookie recipe. Um and I'm trying to think, because if you throw in the baking, you know what? Let's just do the whole thing. I will do the whole thing. We will bake a cookie from the beginning and decorate it and make it really fun, and I'll share with you like all of the tips and tricks that I know, and we'll be like, and we can even make it like standing up. Like we can do fun stuff with it. So, and I love gingerbread men, so, and then we can do like horribly sadistic things to it afterward just to have a good time. Let's see. Okay. Should I talk about the apron and who won it? I feel like the answer is definitely going to be yes on that. I'll wait just a second because, as I've mentioned 80 million times, there's a delay. If there's a live stream, will you let us know what you need beforehand? Absolutely. So probably like a week in advance, I'll give you an ingredient list and kind of like a brief sort of rundown of what we're going to be doing, just so you can have as much prepared on your end. And obviously the only drawback to this is everybody's kind of all over the globe, so the time difference is going to be super wonky for some people, and there's nothing I can do um other than like scooping up the whole planet or something, but I don't think I can do that. So what we'll just have to do is find the best time that works for the most people, and then anyone who misses it can obviously anytime go back and just turn this on and watch it. And I mean, you're going to see a lot of me, and I hope I don't do anything horribly embarrassing. I'm going to have like Golden Girls on or something, like some sort of fun show that I watch. But I'm actually like kind of really excited for this. It sounds like super fun, and it'll be very Christmassy. I'll even put like a bow on Gertie. I like how she's just totally like zonked out. Okay. Krampus themed. I'm seeing Krampus. Let's make a Krampus gingerbread man. What do you guys think of that? I think that sounds really fun. Let me brainstorm on this a little bit more. We are doing something Krampus. We are doing something with gingerbread men. So it's going to be evil and fun and cute and scary. So, oh, I'm excited for that. That sounds like so much fun. Okay, let's talk about the apron. So this was another one where so the contest on this was I asked you guys to give me the worst name for an apron. And wow, you guys are clever or creative, I should say, with some of those names. Some of those names were like, oh, well, that's a name. Okay. They were all terrible. And I hope you take a great amount of pride in that because the one who won, I feel like it's the worst. And I just think it's hysterical. So I'm going to reveal something that I'm just going to hint at right now, and then in the episode that comes out this week, you're going to hear more about it. And I don't want to give anything away, but I've actually made 2 of these aprons, and this one is going to the winner of that contest, and the second one is going to someone who is a patron but it's not related to that contest, and that will be something, like I said, that's covered in that episode. But this is about the winner of this apron. So I asked for the worst name, and it Rachel McWhinney, who lives in Kilcombe, Scotland, came up with the name Jeffrey Dahmer's Cooking Up Christmas. So this is going to Rachel, which, I mean, that is the sickest name for an apron that I could picture. So I feel like she's very deserving of this apron. And so I made it as pretty as I possibly could. And Rachel, if you're watching this, I've hand embroidered your name on here. I've hand stitched a bat. Almost a really huge portion of this is hand stitched together, and that's going to show in the video. But it's going to be, I always like upping the last thing I did. So the first apron I did was for Dita Von Teese, and I made one for myself. And then that was kind of just like a learning. Like I was like, oh, okay, well, these are things I can do. And so I really kind of went to town on this. It's got lace on it that's 150 years old. It's got a ton of hand embroidery and stitching that was done by me. And so it is an incredibly impractical apron because if you get something on it, it's going to be sad. But you know what? It's your apron. If you want to set it on fire, you know what? That is your business. So anyhow, I will be shipping this out, and I custom made this box. This is going to be the Patreon video for this month, and I'm so excited. So it's like a fabric lined box out of like this really beautiful like micro like faux suede sort of material, and I made the entire thing totally from scratch. And I will be providing, like I mentioned, for the $7 and up tier, you will be getting a pattern on this box with some instructions on how to make it, and that goes for the apron as well. So yay, this box is so pretty. Something Okay. So something I'm going to do before, so I'm gonna, like I've mentioned 80 million times, I'm gonna be buying a house back east this spring. And once I get settled in there and I get a wood shop going, one of the episodes is actually going to be, I'm going to make my own coffin that I will be buried in one day. So, which is so morbid, but I don't know. I want to do that. Like, it's something like, I just feel like I know what I want it to look like. I want there to be leaded glass in there. I want beautiful, intricate woodworking and carvings. And on a very dark note, my Mr. Biggles, who I lost him and I love him so much, he's going to be buried with me. So Let's see. I'm going to read some comments. Are you moving to Salem? I don't think I can afford Salem, to be honest. I would love that. And no, like their property tax is high, and I'm looking for a house that can, I'm trying to think. I don't want it to be so run down that it takes me 20 years to bring it into something amazing, but at the same time, I don't want to like move into a palace. I want to find something in the middle of that that's sort of like really needs help, and that I can do a lot of fun magical stuff to. And I don't know. So that's what I'm planning on. And I'm going to really kind of involve you guys in this, by the way. Like I will, once I like find a few houses that I love, like I'll probably like check with you guys and see. So I see someone say New Jersey. I've seen a lot of amazing houses in New Jersey that I absolutely love. I want to say I'm looking around oh, what about a headstone? I'm going to sculpt my own headstone as well. So that is going to be, once I'm totally set up in this place, I plan on keeping this Patreon going for like ever. Like so long as you guys still want to stick around and like see the cool things that I want to make, I would love to just keep doing it. And so I would like to make that coffin within the next year, and a tombstone possibly within the next couple years, just because that's going to be a big undertaking. I want to learn all about basically like stone carving and doing all of that. So it's on the horizon for me. Virginia. I love Virginia. Live stream your funeral. Oh my gosh. If I could Tom Sawyer my own funeral, I would in a heartbeat. Let's see. I'm going to be dressed in a mushroom suit that will quickly decompose so I can help things grow. That is very sweet. And I love, everyone can do anything they want with how they would like their body disposed of. But personally, I want the grandest, most ridiculous looking setup with like a really gothic-y looking tombstone and a beautiful coffin. And I want to find like a really old cemetery, like centuries old cemetery. And I don't know what I would have to do to like allow them to let me be buried there, but I want to be buried in an old place. We made my dad's coffin when he died. Oh, I love that. That's something I kind of miss about like, or I don't miss because I wasn't there, but something I really love about like the Victorian era is they really like, they were very morbid, and I've always been a morbid person. I always think about things like that. And they really went all in on it. So they were very ritualistic about like funerals and stuff like that. And I like that. So I don't know why I went off on that tangent. I do that a lot, I've noticed. Let's see. Look up Dean Regness. He's a traditional stone carver and teaches. I'm going to take you up on that. If you could have lived in any era, when would you pick? This is such a good question. I am extremely enamored with the style and aesthetics of the past, but I actually personally have no interest in living in the past. I don't want to get too like preachy, but like things have only recently gotten very nice for everybody. Like depending on how far back you go into the past, like the number, like the categories of people that things were good for, like get smaller and smaller. So I prefer enjoying the relics of those eras and some of the rituals and all of those things, but I'm very happy to live in a time where we embrace people and we love everybody and everyone has more rights, and I just, that's what I think. So I don't want to get preachy on you, but that's just, yeah. Oh, and everyone lived till 35. Yeah. No, I don't want to, definitely don't want to go back far enough that like dentistry becomes an issue. Like, I still think dentistry is a little archaic. So, a better question is what era in the future you would like to live in, because I would just, in a heartbeat, I would love to go see what is coming. I'm an optimist, and so I just think things are going to get insanely cool, and I'm so bummed that I'm missing them. When did you fall in love with your 50s look? That's a good question. It's so funny. My dad always talked about Annette Funicello from the Mickey Mouse Club, and like all the women he ever thought were pretty were from the 50s. And so in my mind, something like triggered, and I was like, oh, that's that's when things are like, that's when things were prettiest. And so now, after watching like gazillions of like movies and so many things, I find, I want to say maybe like the early 60s is where I pull most of my like, I just feel like they nailed it for that period of time. I love, this room is very like Bye Bye Birdie. Like, um I love the aesthetic from that time, but I do bounce around like quite a bit. But when I started really getting crazy with it, I think I was probably like 30 by the time I was like, this is the look that I want, and this is what I'm going to run with. Let's see. Oh, you love Annette Funicello too. She's just so beautiful. Let's see. Would you ever do a period project where you only use tools that were available at that time? Um, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I think one of the advantages of having all of these fun crafts and things, or like these fun like modern tools, is that you can, I think one of the things that you don't, or a lot of people may not think about, is a lot of the great art that was done in the past with old tools took forever. And it was because they were using like very primitive tools to create insane masterpieces, and they devoted months and years to some of these pieces. So if I could, I don't want to say no to anything. Maybe, I don't know. Finish your Salem story. Okay, fine. So my mom and I went to Salem, and the minute we got back from our trip, I like called her and I was like, that was easily my favorite vacation I've ever gone on in my whole life. We had such a blast. She was up for everything we wanted to do, or that I wanted to do. Um, and we got dressed up as witches, and we walked down the main streets of Salem. And people didn't know anything about me or who I was just from like the show or anything. They just liked that they saw like these ladies dressed up as witches, and then kept asking to take pictures. And so we were taking pictures with tons of people, and a couple of the people we were taking pictures with, and like at one point midway through taking a picture, the girl taking a picture, like her face like changed, and she like recognized me from the Netflix show, and she was like, ah. So it was amazingly fun. I loved it. So I enjoyed it so much. Um I would do that multiple Halloweens. So I would do that again and again and again. And if I were to do it again in the future, I would suggest booking a room 6 months at least, possibly more, in advance, and get a room right near the commons that you can just, everything will be in walking distance, because we got lucky and we got a great room at the Ives Inn, which is like a bed and breakfast. But if I could redo this, I would book something further out in advance, so it's just not so insane. Let's see. What did you use to fix the zebra wood broom? So, let's talk about the tragedy that was the zebra wood broom. And poor Frasier, if you're watching this, I felt more upset for you than anything else, because it was supposed, so in case you're out of the loop, I I made this beautiful handcrafted wooden broom out of zebra wood. It's a witch's broom, and Fraser Poorman won it last month. And so I researched like how was I going to ship this? And I read a bunch that like you take it to the UPS store and they can like package it really nicely and it'll get there and it'll be perfect. And I was like, well, that sounds like the best bet. And I also was like, oh, I want to take this witch's broom to Salem with me and get some pictures with it. So I took it on the plane with me. It was this whole thing to do that, and everything made it fine. And then I dropped it off at the UPS store, and somehow they took it into the back. I didn't see them wrap it. I assumed, which is the worst thing on the planet, I have found, that it was going to be okay. And when it got to Fraser, it was in a box with no wrapping and it was snapped in half. So when he sent it to me, I was like, what kind of force would you have had to have applied on that thing to break it in half? Because zebra wood was like the hardest stone you could imagine. So I, I, I don't know. I'm over being terribly upset at UPS. I just was like, you know what? Honestly, you live and you learn, and sometimes those lessons hurt. So Fraser was amazing enough to ship the broom back to me. I am going to mend it. I have not been able to because I've just been so like running from thing to thing. And I will actually be hand sculpting another broom for Fraser within the next month, and sending that out to him in like a steel coffin. And I'm going to insure that sucker for so much that whoever ships it will take very, very good care of it. So Fraser, and I'm going to like hand carve this specifically for Fraser. So I will be making it extra special for him. Let's see. How did you settle on the color theme for your bedroom? I don't know. Like I just like I like everything to look different. I like every room in the house to be like its own sort of thing. And for this room, I liked the idea of like a really soft, light, airy bedroom. Um, and so that was kind of like the color theme that I went with. And I'm really careful if I'm going to use like a strong color in a room that it's like a muted color, obviously, like because I've personally made this mistake where I had a bedroom once where I was like, I think I want like this cranberry looking wall. And I literally went to the paint counter and got like red, and it was so gross when I put it on the wall. So please do a wallpaper tutorial. I'm going to do that in my next house, and I'm gonna go crazy with it. That will be a whole episode. Let's see. Da, 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 da. I'm trying to think. Tree decorating would be interesting. I love that idea. I kind of, like I said, this month is going to be a little insane. Um, I'm actually, I know it sounds terrible. I'm looking forward to next month when this stuff has calmed down and I get to like really kind of get a little crazy with you guys with some of the projects that I'm going to make, because it's going to get fun. I've been sort of like married to holiday stuff, sort of almost since I started this Patreon thing. I started and it immediately started gearing up towards the holidays. And so I feel like there's tons of really fun. I would love, oh, do you like my bunny slippers? I don't know where I got these. I think I got them at like TJ Maxx, somewhere like that. Will your book be printed again? So, okay, we can talk about the book a little bit. I haven't talked to my publisher in forever, so I don't know if that brand didn't work out, or I just know that no more are being printed. I don't think she's doing any more books at this time, so I don't think any more editions of that book are coming out. Now, that being said, I am toying with the idea of potentially self-publishing a book. um, and making it only available to patrons. And it would just kind of be, I'm not entirely sure what it would be yet. And I also am not entirely sure how much time that would absorb, but I just kind of think that would be a fun bonus for you guys. And maybe we can just talk about that and shoot some ideas around about like what would be the theme of that book. I have so much work that I've done over the last like 10 years, and I don't know. I personally, my experience was, it was doing a book was not terribly lucrative. So I would most the reason I would only want to self-publish and give it to you guys is because I am constantly trying to think of things that will make you guys as happy as possible and make this thing as fun for all of us as we can. So that would just sort of be the motivation for wanting to do that. Let's see. A sewing book. I don't know. That seems so. This was the first thing I've ever sewn that was filmed from beginning to end. And it turns out when you're sewing and you're doing things, having like a camera person like constantly having to be there filming you is just like, get out of my face. Like you just want to watch a movie and fiddle. So I found that I struggled trying to teach sewing. So the episode's going to be amazing. You're going to love it, but it was hard, and it required so much filming because you just there's so many steps. Like you're coming up with stuff like left and right, and some of the stuff comes together so fast that it's like, did you grab that? And ah. Let's see. I'm going to read some comments for a second. Let's see. So someone said, or even a book of all your photo shoots. I would love that. That would be not nearly as much work, and also would just be so fun to like, I feel like I love the photo work that I've done. So seeing it all in one place and something that's beautiful and pretty would be fun. An embroidery tutorial would be fun. I love that idea. Personally, I love embroidering. I just think you get one of those hoops and you just sit there and you let your mind drift off. I was listening to so many murder mystery, like true crime audiobooks while I was working on this. And I listened to one that was so frustrating. Let me see. I'm going to look it up on my phone and tell you what the name of it was, so you can all go be frustrated too if you want to listen to it. It was called Fatal Vision by Joe McGinnis. Um, and it's a well-written book. It's a long book. It's like 30 hours or something. Um, and the guy in it he makes me so angry. That's what I find. I listen to these like true crime audiobooks, and then my blood starts to boil when I hear like how bad these people are. And then so these guys, it's a lot of the time guys, um, that will like murder people and do all these terrible things. And then when it comes to preserving their own life, they get real uppity all of a sudden. So whenever I'm listening to that, I'm like, ah. Okay. Ooh. If you do an embroidery book, a creepy Victorian crazy quilt would be awesome with spiders. I love that idea. Is it stealing an idea if you guys give it to me? I think it's stealing an idea. So I'm going to have to, if I implement any of these ideas, I should probably go back and reference who gave it to me. Do you sometimes find it difficult to stay on task with your projects? Um, Not for me personally. I get really like in the zone with stuff, and like it's just the way my brain works. I have to finish stuff. So I go nuts with stuff. And if I don't finish it, I go crazy. So let's see. Ooh, the lighting. When is the lighting or staging tutorial? So that will be, so like I said, I'm doing mostly holiday stuff right now, but I want to do an episode where I show you how I photograph stuff and how you can photograph stuff completely by yourself. It doesn't cost a ton of money. You just go get a bunch of clamp lights from Home Depot and specific bulbs and dimmers, and you can photograph yourself, and I will show you like how to light something, how, because there's also like a specific kind of makeup you can do that makes you look, I'm going to be real with you. Like there's makeup that I wear when I'm going to be on camera, and it's considerably less makeup that I wear on a daily basis if I'm not going to be on camera. So there's certain things you can do that make you just look better on camera. And then I'll get into probably corsetry and all of that stuff, like all of the things to kind of shape you and make you look the way that you hopefully want to. And then all the way down to editing, because that is for me where the real magic happens, and where, like, I'm telling you, I edit my pictures to death. As far as like, if there is a leg that looked better in another shot, I will cut out that leg and put it in another in another photo. So we're going to get into all of that. And now, you know what? I just realized there's a small craft I wanted to do with you guys that I think it's super simple. It's so silly and it's probably dangerous, but we're going to have a little crafting moment. And it's only going to take a second. So, okay. Ooh, this should be fun. Thank you. So sweet. Okay. Back in your cage. Thank you again. Okay. So let's see. There is something I have been doing for years, and I call it blushing light bulbs. And it's something you can buy colored light bulbs all of the time, and they're always so like saccharine or like excessively vivid. Um, and I don't like that. So I started doing something. So before I get into this with you, let's go over safety. You only want to do this with like nightlight bulbs or very, very low wattage bulbs. And I treat lamps like candles, meaning if I have a bunch of lamps on in a room and I leave, I turn off all the lamps just because I'm terrified of setting a fire and I don't want to do anything with you guys that could potentially turn into a fire. So don't do this on a strong light bulb. So obviously this has got a small night light in it. And I'm going to show you how I like blush a light bulb to get a slightly different hue. So I hope this is going to be fast. We're going to find out. So I just take Elmer's glue. And again, if anybody's like an electrical engineer and you're watching this, you're just going to be like, okay. So I take a little bit of Elmer's glue and I squeeze it so hard. And then I take food coloring. And so I go to like cake supply places to get like airbrush paints or giant bottles of food coloring. But the truth is, if you mix and match with stuff from the grocery store, that will do it too. So you need only a little bit of the food coloring. If I get food coloring on my bed, it's going to serve me right. Let's see. So I'm just going to be adding color until I get like, until I get a shade I want. And the nice thing about this little palette that I'm fiddling with is, whatchamacallit, there's like a bunch of different little like pods you can work off. Okay. Let's see. And so I'm basically trying to create like a rosy lavender color. Let me see if Are you worried about the glue heating up and causing toxic fumes? See, this is exactly what I was talking about. I don't think so. I hope not. It's non-toxic glue. Non-toxic. So I hope not. I don't think so. And you also do this like very, very lightly. You don't need a ton. Oh, and then also another thing you want to keep in mind with this is what is the other thing? Okay, so doing live streams and projects is a little tricky. um, you are probably shortening the life of the light bulb, just so you know. That's something I have found is, oh, let's see, is the, I think we're having a video issue. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so why did you pick a rosy lavender as the color? I will tell you why. Depending on the shade that you have over the light, let's see. Can you guys see me and hear me okay right now? Because I think we had a moment where we lost each other. Video is back to normal. Okay, it's back. Okay, so I'm going to take this little light bulb. Da, da, da. Hold on 1 minute. And you can really fiddle quite a bit with this until you get it to be like a color that you're happy with. And like I said, you don't need a super thick coating. Just a little one. And then I'm going to take a blow dryer and I'm going to scare Gertie. I'm sorry. It usually doesn't take very long. And something else I find is whatchamacallit. When you do this, sometimes I'll like mix a batch, I'll do one light bulb, and then I'll find out like, oh, that doesn't quite look quite right. And so I'll mix up another batch and once I have the right color in like a big bowl, I'll go through and like do a bunch of different light bulbs. Let's see. So then you just take this bulb. See if I can get that in there. And then you end up with this very soft, like blush color. And I hope it should be matching basically this. And there's something that happens with like a purplish hue that when you do it in something like this. And I'm trying to think, let's see. It just gives this really beautiful, soft, kind of pretty like touch, I think, to things. And so I've been doing it for years. I've never had an issue with it. And like I said, it does seem to shorten the length of the bulb or the lifespan of the bulb. So just know that going in. These aren't terribly expensive bulbs. They're just little tiny guys. But I just love that. I feel like if you have that like on your nightstand or your boudoir and like it's something that makes me feel prettier. And then if you put it really close to your face, it like makes you look prettier. So I hope that was like a fun little craft. I'm going to try to do like a silly little craft in each of these little live streams, but um basing on the reaction I saw here, you guys want to do a big live stream for December, and I'm all totally on board with that. So let me brainstorm a little bit on that. I will get back to you on how we're going to do that. This week we get 2 new episodes where I feature how to make this entire thing, how to make that entire thing, and I hope you guys love it. I'm so excited. There's so much fun stuff kind of like in the works that I can't really get into right now, but you're going to love the Christmas episode, the public one of From the Mind of Christy McConnell. So anyhow, well, I will let you guys go. I had so much fun on this one. I'm glad you got to meet Sergeant Fuzzyballs. He's such a shy little thing, and I never want to force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. So the fact that he just like showed up was super cute and wonderful. Okay. Well, you guys have an amazing night. Eat some chocolate, do something fun, and maybe even do a few of these on your own. Okay. I will see you guys soon and have a wonderful night.